Hello and welcome to the final part in our series on painting this European soldier. As you can see, we're almost there now. Now I've just got a few little details left to do. So first thing I'm going to do is we're going to paint the hair. So I'm going to give this guy brown hair. So I'm going to start with my chestnut brown. And if you're doing any hair color, I paint all hair color. I have one technique for painting hair. And so it's basically whatever base color I start with, everything after that is exactly the same. So I'm doing brown on this one, but I've got a few examples when I'm finished to show you the other ones I do. So first thing I do is just a nice flat even base coat, and so now again, the way that the Firelock guys sculpt their hair, it's quite smooth, and I like that. Because one thing I will recommend, it doesn't matter which models you're painting, but I know they sculpt, a lot of people sculpt hair strands in. One thing I will implore is if you actually look at hair, especially at kind of distance that's equivalent to when you're kind of what would be the same distance if you're looking real life as you're looking at models. You can't see every individual strand of hair. So when you're highlighting, it's best if you don't paint all of the strands of hair. You know, each individual hair strand. Actually, kind of paint more across the hair. Now, the way that Firelock do theirs, it's not so bad because it's quite solid, which actually I find when you're on the tabletop, it looks more natural. Now, I don't mind when the hair is more textured. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Sometimes it looks absolutely awesome, especially if you have more animated hair or a bit sense of motion. But right, but this stuff also looks good. So there's my base coat. I'm gonna go straight on to my highlight. So I'm gonna take the base. I'm gonna put it here. Then I'm just going to add some pure white. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run that just next to it. I'm gonna take a scoop of white, mix that in. I'm gonna do a 2-layer highlight here. Put one side for now. Now, this guy's got a hat on, so I don't have to worry too much about natural highlighting because it's basically I'm painting where it comes out from underneath the hat. But if you are painting someone with a bare head, well, bareheaded, not an actual bare head, someone will make the joke. Make sure you actually have a look at where the highlights are, because where hair highlights isn't actually on the very top. It's more of a halo round the head. Kind of halfway between the top of the head and the ears. So if you kind of look at pictures of glossy hair, again I may have mentioned before, beauty magazines are a great place, where you've got shampoo adverts and things, to see where hair actually highlights. And that's actually a handy place to look. So now, final highlight, I'm just making a bit of a mess of it. There we go, that's better. Tidy that up. I'm just touching where the light is catching. So just, when it comes to hair, often less is more. You know, if you want to do lots of layers, that's awesome, especially if you've got more models with quite long hair. You know, less is, so I get a couple more layers in there, but there we go, base, 2 highlights, and that will do him nicely. So you can see there at the back where the hair's, the light's catching, give him a bit of a gloss effect, and yep, happy with that. So back in a second with the very final steps for this model. Sorry about that, almost forgot what I promised. So you saw the brown hair. Now if I'm doing blonde hair, I'll do the exact same thing. I'll start with a barbarian leather base, add a few progressive white highlights, and there you go, that's blonde. If I'm doing dark brown, funnily enough, I start with a dark brown and add white and get the same effect. If I'm doing black hair, I do the exact same thing. If I'm doing grey hair, I start with grey and add white. So all the time I just add white, and that gives me the glossy highlight that you need. So back in a minute with the last. Right, here we are. Final step, final leg. We're gonna do the laces and the grip of the sword and the hilt. So I'm going to start off with some Vallejo German camouflage beige, or good old-fashioned commando khaki as it used to be known. Give it a good shake because Vallejos are a bit, so need a tiny bit on there. And as I'm doing these swords cord bound, the hilt's cord bound, I just need the one color and I can do both together. So again, if you want a wire bound hilt, I recommend you going for a dark silver, or you know, whatever you want, but I'm doing cord bound, and so that's what I've got. Suppose that's, I've just given you the YouTube equivalent of just cause, but you know what, just cause. Now I'm starting with the commando khaki. I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna highlight up with skeleton bone just so it's a little bit light in the stockings, but there is some color differentiation there. You know, and also just make sure everything's not just brown. So there we go. And then just go very carefully do the laces. I do these the same color. Granted, these might, you know, if you want to leave these black, you know, no one's gonna hang you up for that because there's every chance it would be black. But I just like to bring that detail out a little bit more. Right, there's one, and there is the other, almost. Right, so there we go. The last paint. Some skeleton bone. Feel like a good shake. There we go. Right. So what I'm going to do now is with my skeleton bone, I'm going to just use my natural palette there, my thumb. And what I'm going to do is just draw little lines down the hilt. Match them up as I go round. 3 or 4 each way. You don't need to go crazy with this. But it just gives that impression that's cord bound. There, I don't know how well we can see that there. I just want to give that impression that's cord bound. Nice, just one more in there, fill that gap in. There. And last thing, just highlight the loop of the lace a little bit. Just to give it that little bit of shaping. And there we are done. That is a finished soldier. So there we have it. All done. Right. So all that remains is I'd like to thank you for watching. Thank you for following me through this series. I hope I've been able to help in some way. I know I've not introduced reinvented the wheel at any point, but hopefully you've picked up some pointers, maybe seeing a way of doing something that you've not tried before, or even seen someone think, oh, he's an idiot doing like that. I can do it much better if I did it like this. If I've inspired you in that way, that is fantastic. That's made my time doing this worthwhile. While I'm thanking people, I would like to thank Rage Against the Dice for giving me the opportunity to share and try to help people out, and for the encouragement of keeping going with this project. I'd also like to thank Firelock Games because they've been very supportive of the channel and these tutorials all together, and also just for making some absolutely fantastic miniatures about pirates, and who doesn't love pirates. So that's it from me. If you guys really like this, I'm sure I can be persuaded to come back and bore you some more with some more models. If you let me know what you'd like to see, please drop a comment, get in touch with the channel, whatever. Let me know on Facebook. But just once again, thank you very much for putting up with me for what must be now hours of content, and I'll see you around. Okay, take care. Bye bye.